Hello everyone, so let's dive into a first look at Rik Reverb on Heroic on the PTR. As always, we'll just tackle the mechanics as they happen. This is PTR, so it could change, and we're just gonna look at as things happen on what seems to be a very difficult boss. Anyway, we pull the boss, we have these markers here in this type of shape. Just ignore the background for now, but we have two markers like these, then two markers like that, and then two markers like this. So that's the setup. And we have range be on this marker here and melee be on that marker, and that's to spawn the amplifiers of Rik Reverb. Those amplifiers look exactly like this. So we dodge, we bait one to spawn there, one to spawn here, and we put two range players next to each one amplifier. They will always spawn one under the boss and one on range, it seems, and now we get the heroic mechanic. But before we actually go into that heroic mechanic, let's understand the amplifiers. It is a gimmick and it is a bit complex, but the amplifiers have a HP bar that keeps going up. So what you need to do is once it's like this high, like 90% high, you drain it. So we have Danner and OP here next to this amplifier. So for example, Danner would go first and drains the amplifier from 90% to 0. Now he gets a dot, he can't do it again. Then OP is gonna do it the second time. Same for that amplifier and same for all amplifiers that are gonna show in this fight. If they do get to full HP, they will blast they will destroy the raid. So I can't express how hard it hits, so it's really tough. So do not let them get to full energy or full HP no matter what. So that's pretty much it. For the boss interactions with the pylons, we also don't want the boss close to the pylons. I actually can't remember exactly why, but something very bad happens when the boss is close to them, so just make the boss move away from them. The tank mechanic is basically a frontal. You just swap every single one of them, and it is like a frontal cone, so you definitely don't want to be in front of it, especially DPS players. And then the heroic mechanic is this pyrotechnics. So the pyrotechnics spawns these Zads, and we have 15 seconds to kill them. If we don't kill them, we're gonna get a dot that hits the raid really hard. 1 is healable, 2 is not healable, or just barely healable with some cooldowns, and then 3 is actually a wipe. So definitely kill these Zads, they are prio. And then if we kill them, and while we are hitting them, we are getting basically boosted with damage and HPS and all that stuff, good stuff. Basically, hitting these Zads buffs you, so why not? It's just so good. Meanwhile, we have the next mechanic here, which is Sound Cannon. It's probably the worst mechanic to see in this entire raid. There's like a blue beam and this white line that targets a player and does damage. This is going to be more important for Mythic, but in Heroic it's just like, okay, face that away. Or basically don't be in it, or you could be in it. This is actually a trivial mechanic. Meanwhile, the pylons are shooting these waves. Now, about these sound waves, or whatever they're called, if you get hit by one, you take damage, but if you get hit by two, you get mind controlled, and then you will eventually die. So definitely don't get hit by two, but you can get hit by one. So next on this boss, we have Faulty Zap. So Faulty Zap is a spread mechanic. It does deal damage, especially if you're together, so just be alone. Now, right off the gate, or during this even, we are gonna bait new amplifiers, and we wanted range to bait here and melee to bait there. So the melee one is always baited by the boss. The range one is tricky because people are spreading, so anyone without circle is actually going to stack on the blue marker. Meanwhile, you can see Danner here draining an amplifier, and then the other ones stand close so that the amplifier now spawns here. That's how we controlled it. This doesn't mean it's necessarily the best way, but that's how we felt comfortable with, and worked fine for us, so whatever. We get a new beam, we get more odds, so we have to kill these odds. That's like the really hard part of this fight. And by the way, these huts seem to not be baitable into certain zones to get them together. They do seem to spawn sometimes even as far as there or even here, which is crazy. So I hope they change that. Now we're gonna get a new set of mechanics, basically more spreads. Gonna spawn. The boss is actually gonna do a cast here. If I remember correctly, the cast is Echoing Chant. It probably already happened, but he basically forces these amplifiers to throw even more waves at the raid. But it's nothing special. We get the final zones here, so just keep in mind, we have 2 players doing this pylon, 2 players on that amplifier, 2 here, and now 2 there and 2 there. That's on a raid with 21 people. That's already 6 turrets, which is 12 raiders. For an heroic boss, this is actually pretty difficult, I will say. Now we get to do the fun part of this fight, which is the intermission. So we drain, in preparation for intermission, we drain all amplifiers, we nuke these odds, we really need to kill these odds, it's really important, and we spread with faulty zaps, we dodge waves, and now the boss goes into intermission. Now, on intermission it does this sound cloud, and this flies up, and the boss becomes immune to damage. There's no DPSing here, so just survive. This is a bit bullet hell, as always. The boss does phase 1, phase 2, phase 1, phase 2. You did get to see a player get mind control there, so I'm gonna go back for a second, and I'm gonna show you. A player got hit by 2, and right there, they got mind controlled. We did do damage to him very fast, and we broke him out of mind control. Now here comes the intermission. We all go into the amplifier that has the big circle, and we stand in it. Now the boss is gonna throw this ring, and once this ring touches this ring, we will all automatically jump in the air over that ring, just like we did in Unshrek. This is actually so super cool, and this is actually super fun. You don't actually have to proc the things, don't worry, they're done automatically, but I just found this is very fun. It's also somewhat of a heal check throughout this fight, but by the time we tried, so here's the problem, by the time you're doing the 4th one, 2 of the older pylons are gonna stay, and they're already full HP. So now we're having immune players go skip the soak and go drain the pylons instead. And our hope here is we can actually not die one shot as we finish the last soak, but we are dying. So it does seem that you're gonna have to drain the amplifiers as you're doing the soaks in the intermission, which just sounds like hell. Either way, this was our best pull, and we did get to see a bit more of the fight here, and we did saw 2 of these pylons stay, and then the boss dropping 2 extra ones. So I'm thinking on this phase there's gonna be 8 amplifiers now, which is insanity. That means 16 players on a 21-man group are doing elf management on the amplifiers. This sounds like a mythic boss, but in heroic, and that just is a bit crazy. But I think this fight is super cool, actually. All the fights in this raid are super cool. But basically that's pretty much all I have to show you about Rik Reverb. So yeah, I'm gonna dip now, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye, take care.